this is Deb with Art and Grace. It is day 3 of our Christmas in July. I'm going to show you step by step how to make these little nostalgic sequin and felt ornaments. They are so easy to make and really fun to make. This is the stocking that my mother made my daughter. So it is 30 years old, and you can see it's worn and a little tattered. So you can take what I'm showing you. All you do is take what we're going to do tonight and you make an item, and then you attach it to your cut out stocking. So the sky's the limit as far as what you can do. So we're going to get started in July, because they do take a little bit of time. We're going to make a little mini one kind of this size. So felt is the first thing. I use embroidery thread. You're going to need needles. I already got my needle. I've got thread in this one. I always usually have a couple going so I can change colors of thread. You're going to need sequins, and I'm going to, like I said, going to use these tonight. And then you're going to use seed beads. So depending on your needle size, you need a smaller needle to go through the seed beads. That's really the only requirements. The other thing is trim. So trim like this, and I just literally pulled out my stash of trims. This is a really great trim that I use today. You can find these so inexpensively on sale. So I've already cut out my little trees. Just to save time, that's the first step. And what I typically do is pin it together. So take your little pin your fabric so you know it's not going to move on you. And I took a little template. I just drew, you know how I do. I cut it in half, I fold it in half. I drew my tree. And then when I opened it, I thought it'd be cute to have some ruffles. So I just kind of cut it along the bottom. It's not perfect, but anyway. Then I just cut it out. So that's all. Just simple, simple. And now this is what you're left with. I set one aside and we're going to work with one. First thing is kind of decide on the design. Do you want this? I think that's too big for what we're doing. I think this could be super cute. That's also cute. I think I'm going to do red so that it doesn't compete with any of the sequins I use. So we are going to put some red on a little needle, and I just tie a knot at the bottom, put it through twice to make it just a little thicker, and I start with the trim, and I start it just a little bit past where I want it, and I do hand stitch this. I think that's part of the fun. And I typically put on The Sound of Music or some other Christmas movie when I do these, and just kind of have fun, because it doesn't take any, you can kind of watch and look down when you need to and all that, or just listen to the music or whatever. So we'll do this quick. I won't do it as good as I normally would, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll skip some stitches and just get it down for time's sake, but they really don't take long because it's so small. So right here at this point, see, I've got a little room left here to put a stitch. I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it, and it's going to go like that. So where I folded it, trying to hold this and be sure I'm visible on the camera, I'm going to do a stitch, and it'll be right there at the end. So right here, you want it to come all the way to the edge, and then you can put your little stitch here. And I might do that a couple of times, like up and down, and then do another one or two. And then again, we're going to fold it over at that corner. It's going to look right. And then up from the back, try to grab that trim. And then back down. The back does not have to be pretty because it's going to be on the inside of our ornament. We're going to attach it to a base. So you can have some tacky stitches and it won't matter. So you don't have to be an expert or really any experience at all. up and down a couple of times through there to be sure it's good. Okay, so now we've got that down. I'm going to just let that kind of fall and cut. These are actually my mother's scissors. Y'all have probably seen me use them before. And I love them. They're so old. But it makes me just feel close to her to have her things and use them. Okay, now is time to just put whatever you want. I do have some of these fun things, and this is one, y'all, this is kind of neat because this is one that my mom started. She made the top part, and then that's all. It was just sitting there just like this would be. So today I put the back on, and you know that, and that just made me feel good to finish her little ornament she had started at one time. So anyway, you've got all these little sequins, but we'll just kind of put a few things to give y'all the idea. This is the hardest part, is deciding. It's so tiny that I have to be careful what I'm going to put on it. You can use the same color thread. It really doesn't matter and doesn't show too much. I will show you. I'll start with this red one because it's right up here by where my trim is. Just put your sequin through. So we brought the thread through the back. I'm going to put my sequin on and then grab a seed bead. So I'm going to put a gold to show you the contrast. And then you just take your needle and you go back down the hole. I'm going to try not to go right down the exact same hole that I came up, but then there's that. So I do kind of like that contrast. Come up. Oh, another thing I was going to show you, I'll show you on the next one. And let's use like a red bead on this one. They're so tiny. This is what I mean about making a mess. Every time I drop one, I'm like, oh, well, I'll get another. Thank you, Betty. So sometimes if I'm going a long way, instead of doing a long stitch like this, I'll do a couple of little ones on the back side, just barely under the surface so it doesn't come through to the front. And then that way you don't have a big long, it really doesn't matter on this though, because it is going to be on the inside of this ornament, so it really doesn't matter. Put something tiny like a green. You could definitely make these small size, this ornament size for, you know, your Sunday school class or ladies that you work with, or, you know, it'd be pretty easy to do 10 of them because they're so tiny. They don't take any time. Doing these today got me thinking about just past Christmases and just being a kid, and, you know, you're so carefree and your biggest problems back then were having to clean your room. Can you imagine? And if somebody sent me to my room, I'd be happy. Like back then, that was just torture. But now I'd be like, okay, no, I'm out of here. Now, we're getting to where I need to tie off this thread, and I'll show you that. Back down the hole. Now, when you're at this other, and I've just got a little bit left. So see, I'm really waited too long to do this. I'm going to come back through real close to what I just did, and I'm just going to catch the top part of that fabric. It's not going through to the other side, and pull that through. And before it's closed, I'm going to take that needle and put back through, which is very hard when you don't leave enough tail there, but I can do it. Just put that needle back through, and I'll just do this a few times, kind of back through and catch some different fabric this time. You know, you don't really have to knot it because we are going to make this an ornament. It's not like anybody's going to see it. It just doesn't matter. It will never come out or anything. Okay. let's get another big one. Like you could put, I try to put larger ones on the bottom. Let me show you this one again. So like, see this large one, and we've got quite a few larger ones down here, and then mediums, and then you kind of have to be a little more careful, but you can find something larger for the bottom. I think I'm going to do that one. And you don't have to. Don't pull it too hard right there, because you're thin. If you're only using the one strand of thread like I am, your knot could come through that felt. So I just kind of pull it and just don't pull it too tight. If it starts to knot up on you, if you'll pull it back a little, it'll straighten out. And think about that 3 or 5 or 7 rule that I told y'all about. Things will look better if you do them in odd numbers. So I always kind of go by section. So like right here, I'll either put 3, 5, or 7 inside each little section. You can always put a bead too. So on the pink one that I did, you'll see little beads. So can y'all see, like right here is a little bead, right here, just to fill in some little spots. Right here, it's the last thing I do is come back through with some little beads. And so remember that you can also use those. Like this little box would be cute on there, and it's glass. It's a glass bead, so it's going to add a lot of sparkle when it's on the tree and lit. And so I've pulled my thread through, put the bead on, and I'm just going to put this back down beside the original thread, not too far away. Pull it, and there you go. And that adds a lot. So right here on the back, you don't want to go too close to that top because it just gets real flimsy right there. So that's a really good spot right here. And on the last one, I waited until I had my 2 pieces together. This one I'm going to do right now and just kind of see how it works. I think it will be easier, to be honest, to do this now. I'm putting a gold one just so it doesn't really stand out. And I could have switched to my yellow thread to be less obvious, but honestly, I just don't think it makes enough difference to worry about, so I'm not worrying about it. I'm going to show you how I finished my star on these. So I've got my star on, technically it's on, but I'm going to come back through the back and up through the hole. It's a little tricky because you're kind of guessing. There it is. Okay, so I'm come through the hole. And then I'm going to take it through the bead again. Oops. And now back down the hole. And that makes it much more secure than if you just did that one time. And I can already feel it's very secure. It's not going anywhere. You could do it a 3rd time if you just really want to, which I'm going to, since this will be a little giveaway or gift, because I don't ever want it to come apart. So I'm just going to make it even a little more secure. Okay. Now, I will switch my thread, although you can put a pin. Yes, you sure could. You could stop right there. Now, I would still probably glue or stitch a piece like this to it to cover all of your thread, right? And then put a pin on it or a magnet. It's so true. You can do this with a lot of things other than just an ornament. So I love that idea. But you know that stitch that you can do and kind of come along the side edge? I forget what it's called. You guys know. Is it a whip stitch? I'm not sure. I used to do embroidery with my grandmother, but I can't remember the name of it. But honestly, for ease, it's just better to do a straight up and down stitch. So I'm going to switch to my green thread. So I'm going to just close this off. And I'm better safe than sorry, since this is a gift. Anytime I'm doing something that it's not just for me, I'm gonna make sure it's not gonna come apart. Blanket stitch, that's it. Yes. A blanket stitch would be real cute on this. So, and I'll show you what I fill it with too. So put them together. To me, the tops are the most important, so I'm going to make sure the tops are perfect. And I'm going to take that needle and come in the middle of them and get it started. So right up here, I'm going to just grab some of the fabric without going through. Extra threads. And I'm going to do it a second time for good measure, just to make sure it's good and secure. And then get these two together really well and make my first stitch. We'll go through the first piece of fabric and come out, and then get them together and come back through both. I hope y'all can see. But now I'm coming through both. So that's your first stitch that's real close to the top, and we'll keep those together. And then from there, up through the two pieces, and you just want them to be as even as possible. I mean, it's not a big deal on something like this because this is a hand stitch look, and people want the hand stitch for a reason. So, you know, just kind of come up and go back. I'm not doing the back stitch. I'm just literally up and down the whole way. And when I'm not trying to be on camera, I can do this super fast and get these finished off really quick. And just depends on if you want it to go over that like that. I don't. So I'm just going to kind of put it down and then let it come underneath of it. And you can always use just a little bit of Fabri-Tac glue or some fabric glue to kind of put something down if you want. And I would, just so it doesn't fray. But with normal wear and tear, it's really not going to do that. I also end each one, and then the middle is the last that I do. So I'm going to go ahead and, I guess I could go, no, I'm going to go ahead and do it the way I know it works good. So grab some fabric, pull that through. I didn't do that right, did I? Yeah, I did. Okay. And then I'm going to do it again. So just come through that little hole before I pull it tight. And you know, do it two or three times, and I promise it will not come undone. Now, here's what I'm excited to show y'all what I put inside. In the past, I have put fiberfill if I had it or something, but today I was thinking, what's like fiberfill? Because obviously I don't have it. And, you know, you can put Walmart sacks. It doesn't have to be but this is a cotton ball, and I literally just kind of unwrapped it, and it was perfect. The last one came unwrapped really easily, and you probably don't even have to unwrap it, but it just kind of was already started a little bit, and then I just kind of pushed it up in there, and it just wound up being perfect. So take something and take a little, you know, something, kind of push it up to the top gently, and then I just folded it over and kept going. It just worked perfect. But I got, you know, this was stuffed with just one, and I think it's because I unrolled it. Otherwise, you might need 2 or 3. So anyway, there you go. And then you just keep going to close it. We are right here. I'm going to come back through and just keep going across that bottom. Okay, so then to finish, we're just going to try our best to keep all this inside the 2 flaps. So I'm kind of pulling one side open, and we're going to do our closing. So grab some fabric and then put this through the hole, and then we'll do it again. And I'll do one more just because this will be a giveaway and I don't want it to come undone. Okay. Now for the hanger, you can use whatever. If you have some, you know, little thin trim would be great, like something like this, or even the, oh, that might be cute, using the ribbon that we did the, oh, that'll be cute. That's perfect. Let's do that. I should have done that on the inside. I should have put that on the inside before I closed it or whatever. I didn't think about it. We're not doing fancy. We're just getting it on. That is it. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this inspires you, gives you an idea of something you might do. Let me know if it does. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.